4, I will still be doing it because you might have forgotten it. How to evaluate piecewise functions using the graphs or using the equations. So let's go ahead and do first how to evaluate piecewise functions using graphs. So supposing you're asked to find what is function of -1. So you have to analyze what this means. This means that x is equal to -1. And you are trying to find function of x, which is also the same as the value of y. So if x is given, it means that you will have to look at the horizontal direction of your graph at -1, and it's here. And then after that, find the y where your graph will be hit, and it's actually here. So therefore, your y here is 2. And what does it mean? This means that your graph will be hit at a point -1 and +2. And that's how it is. Now, let's say, for example, you're asked to find what is function of 3. So again, this means that x is equal to 3. And you are trying to find function of x or y. So therefore, go first to the horizontal direction of your graph, and it's actually here. And you would see that you would have two situations where y will be given. And you would notice a hole and you would notice a dot. Okay, you have to choose the dot because the hole means this point is at 3 and +2. The hole means that your graph does not have a solution which indicates 3 and 2. It's undefined here, but it is defined here. And the point here is at 3, -2. So therefore, your y here, or f of x, is equal to -2. It's also your y. Okay? So therefore, the graph will be hit at 3 and -2. Okay, now let's say, for example, I have f of x equals -3. So this one is different from here. So what the given here is x, the given here is y, because we know that f of x is the same as y. And here, you're asked to find what is x. Okay, so you need to do the inverse of what you have done when you're finding x in the graph or you're finding y in the graph. This, you're finding x in the graph because you are given y. So instead of looking at the horizontal direction of your graph, you will go to the vertical direction of your graph. And in this situation, your y is -3. So this is the point we are looking for. And we are trying to find the x where your graph will be hit. And it will be here. And it's a dot, so therefore it is defined here. So the point here is when your x is -4 and when your y is -3. So therefore, your x is -4. And the point, okay, will hit the graph at -4 and -3. So that's how you evaluate using graphs. So first thing you do, identify whether you are given x. You know it's x if it's that number is inside this parenthesis, and whether it's y because the function itself is equal to that number. So when you're given x, you go to the horizontal direction first and look for the y where your graph will be hit. And notice that if you have several dots or holes affecting your x, you need to choose the dots. Do not choose the hole because it is undefined in the hole. And if you are given y, go first to your vertical direction and then look for x where the graph will be hit. Okay, so that's how you evaluate using the graphs. Now, we will evaluate using the equation. Okay, so let's say you have this equation and you're asked to evaluate what is function of -5. So what does this mean? This means that your x is -5 and you are trying to find the value of y where your graph will be hit. So the first thing you do is to look at your conditions. These are part of the equations but they are not part of the solutions. This will only be helping you which of these pieces you will choose to solve your problem. Okay? So x is -5 belongs here because -5 is less than 3. Okay? And you cannot put -5 here because -5 is not between 3 and 10. Neither it's greater than 10. So it has to be here. Now we will choose this piece. F of x equals -x minus 4. Okay? And then after that, you plug in your x, negative 5, and be careful of how you plug it in here because this means that your x is negative. So you need to put negative 5 inside the parenthesis because this means you are taking the opposite of your x because negative times negative is positive 5. And so therefore, this will be 1. So therefore, the point at this equation in this piece will be hit by the point negative 5 and positive 1. Alright, now let's go to the second one. Let's say my function of x is equal to 10. Okay, so 10 is not less than 3. But 10 is equal to 10, of course, and it belongs here because there's an underline. This means that your x here can be less than or equal to 10. So it belongs to this equation. You cannot choose this equation because x here is greater than 10. It's not equal to 10. So you need to choose the second equation, x squared. F of x is equal to x squared minus 7. And then you just have to plug in your x, and it gives us 100 minus 7, which is 93. So therefore, your graph will be hit by the point 10 and 93. So as a summary, when you are evaluating piecewise functions using equations, the first thing you do is to identify your x. You can find that by means of that number inside the parenthesis. Then after that, take note of your condition. Your x is negative 5. So therefore, look at the conditions here and find out where that value will belong. And you need to choose that equation that is correspondent to that condition. So after identifying your piece, plug in the value of x, and then after that, you use algebraic methods to solve for your y.